Hey guys, welcome to the 97th edition of the Animated Girls Profile Confidential. We are 3 away from 100. And next up on the list, the title says it best, we are talking about Dulcy from the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, mostly Sonic SatAM and Archie Sonic. And the one thing about Dulcy that a lot of people look at when it comes to her character, and they still kind of ask about it to this day, is why was she brought in all of a sudden in the second season? Because when the second season came around, it's like she was introduced out of the blue as if she was always there. It's like the audience, the fans, the viewing audience is supposed to act like she was always part of the team, except we never saw her in the first season. And I can tell you from experience, from someone that's watched cartoons growing up in the 80s and in the 90s, early 90s that is, that this is something that's not uncommon, when it comes to Saturday morning or even weekday cartoons. Because this is something that a lot of studios would do. They would actually basically, use a future season to not only give the characters a bit of a slight redesign, if you will, in the character design that is, but they would also introduce new characters just out of the blue and act like they've always been a part of the team. We just never seen them until now. A good example of that for me, being a kid growing up in the 80s and the 90s, are Transformers, G.I. Joe, Silverhawks, you name it. These characters, all of a sudden the second season comes around, and all of a sudden you have all these new characters as if they've always were there, but you've never seen them in the previous season. And the same could be applied for Dulcy. Dulcy falls in that category as a character that gets introduced right out of the blue, in the show to the audience as if she was always there in the first place, even with the first season, but we've never seen her. Like I said, we've never seen her, but she's introduced in a way to where it's supposed to be like she was always there from the beginning. So, yeah, I can understand how people feel about that, but again, it's something that has been going on for a long time, for, decades, if you will, when it comes to animation and even live action shows as well. As far as Dulcy goes, I should say, like I said, as far as Dulcy goes, as a character, she's actually pretty cool in my opinion. I mean, and I know that might sound kind of weird, but I think she's kind of cool. And the reason I say that is because of the fact that her personality is a unique one, because she's presented, in my opinion, as the second youngest member of the Freedom Fighters. The youngest, of course, being Tails, the second youngest being her, even though she's the biggest member of the Freedom Fighters, seeing as though she's a dragon. The other thing that's cool about her personality, though, like I was saying, is she also has a bit of an understanding. Like, you could tell that mentally she still has some growing up to do, but she's also in that kind of in-between situation. She's kind of like in a balancing situation to where she understands the importance about what's going on and everything and stuff like that, and she could see certain things that need to be addressed. But she also can relay a message to the younger generation in a way that's simplified and that they can understand. A good example of this is, I think, in the third episode called No Brainer, where Dulcy asks her to explain to Tails what's going on as far as Sonic kind of being mind-wiped and controlled temporarily by the likes of Snively. She asked Dulcy to explain to him in a more, simplified way that he can understand. But overall, she's a very good character. Like I said, she's presented in a way that basically she's in between. It's like she has that balance of childlike innocence, but a maturity that goes with it when it comes to certain serious situations. And this is greatly exemplified in her self-titled episode, Dulcy, which airs later on in the season. So, That again, that's a good example of her having that childlike innocence, but also having, the maturity enough to understand the seriousness of situations and moments and stuff that goes on. So it's pretty cool. To have that in a character. She's also the one that kind of basically acknowledged that, hey, there's a place called the Floating Island that has these time stones that can allow people to go back to the past and try to, fix things before, or try to prevent things from happening before they do. And that's showcased in Blast of the Past Part 1. Anyway, though, Dulcy overall I thought she's a good character. Cree Summer, who does the voice of Dulcy, is known for her role in a live-action perspective from A Different World, as well as the voice of various other characters. I thought provided a great person. I'm trying to say. Sorry about that, but as I was trying to say, I feel Cree Summer, who's known for her role in the live-action sitcom Different World, as well as doing the voice for a variety of other characters, I thought she did a decent job bringing Dulcy to life. As you could tell that Cree Summer was having fun with the character. You could tell she had an understanding of who the character was, where she came from, and what she was about. So I have to give Cree Summer a lot of credit for doing that. And if they ever decide to revive the SatAM or Archie Sonic, portion of the franchise, of the Sonic franchise, and they decide to bring Dulcy back as part of that, I'm hoping Cree Summer comes back and voices her character again. I really do. But Dulcy overall, like I said, she is one of those characters, like I mentioned at the beginning, that, some people are like, well, she just came out of nowhere. She just came out of nowhere. As I was trying to say, people still viewed her, as I mentioned earlier, as a character that came out of nowhere. Is basically treated or showcased to the viewers as a character that's always been there, yet we've never seen her. Who is she? Where does she come from? And again, going back to certain episodes like Blast of the Past Part 2 and her self-titled episode, we get a better understanding of her origins, where she came from, who her mom is, stuff like that. So I think Ben Hurst and some of the other creative writers behind the show, or in the second season I should say, kind of understood the situation they were probably in and said, look, let's go here and let's make this happen. And, that's what they did. That's what they did, in my opinion. So, yeah, Dulcy, got a little bit of a background, given to her even in her debut, if you will. She got a little bit of a background even in her debut season for the show. Now, as far as her role in Archie Comics, she did debut in the 29th issue. Basically the 29th issue, which is known as the first time that Sally got roboticized, but was de-roboticized thanks to Dulcy. Dulcy basically was the one that realized, something was up and that she should go investigate. And when she went and investigated, she saw what was going on. And thankfully, she made the smart decision to take the portable de-roboticizer that they found in a hover unit, in one of those SWAT-bot hover units in the swamp, or that crash landed in the swamp, with her, just in case something happened, just in case the plan backfired, which it did. So she was able to basically save the day by using it on Sally and de-roboticizing her. She basically became the hero of the day in her debut issue in the Archie's book. Now, as far as the rest of her run, she had a decent run in the book after that. I mean, we get more kind of information about her and the dragon culture. Like we find out in, issue 50, I believe, that she can tell that Sonic's telling the truth about, not being the one that, supposedly killed Sally, at that time during the Endgame saga. So, and it's even backed up by Knuckles saying, hey, a dragon's word is fact. So that's kind of cool. But again, like I said, she had a decent run. And even when they rebooted, or softly rebooted the series, starting with 252, when we finally got to see her, because she is mentioned in a issue later on, I think it's 258 or 257. When we do finally see her, she's a hybrid of what her original design was and what she would look like if she was officially in the games. She's basically given a Segified redesign, which is a hybrid of what she looks like previously and what she would look like if she was in the games. And she still maintains that childlike innocence and good-heartedness, but she's now the leader of her own freedom fighter clan. And they even give her a newer background, very similar maybe, but a newer background as to how she encountered the freedom fighters, as a kid. So I thought that was cool, and, it did give more depth to the character. Overall, as far as Dulcy goes as a character, again, I'm cool with her. I like it. I like the character. One of the funny things about her is anytime she would try to make a landing, especially in the early portion of the second season, she would always mess up. And she would cause, herself to crash. Do a crash landing, as well as if she would try to make the proper landing that she would end up causing some nausea to some of the passengers she would have that would be riding her. Like, she would cause some upset stomach and nausea to Sally, to Sonic, to Tails, to Antoine, to Bunny. Mainly all the characters that rode her as transportation would get a little bit of nausea. But as we get later on in the season, especially, like I said, going back to the self-titled episode, she does improve. And as a matter of fact, she even learns that, hey, if she's carrying something, like in the self-titled episode, she's carrying an egg that's not her egg, but it's some other dragon's, that she can actually land properly. And of course, the episode concludes with Rotor giving her some knee pads, so just in case she does still crash, she won't be scraping her knees or anything. Anyway, though, Dulcy as a character, I thought was good. I thought she was a decent character. Like I said, I know people may have issues with her, but I thought she was fine. I thought she was good. So, anyway, though, guys, that's going to do it for the 97th edition of the Animated Girls Profile Confidential. We are 3 away from 100. Who will be next as we get to 100? We'll find out soon. But until next time, guys, God bless. Take care. Thank you all for watching. And I am out.